On today's episode, we'll talk about how Mike McDaniel publicly confirms that the Miami Dolphins have made OBJ an offer and why that matters in my opinion. Also, we'll discuss have the Miami Dolphins upgraded the offensive line enough moving forward. Plus, we will also get into all the news and notes from McDaniel's presser today at the annual owners meeting. Also, Tua and the Dolphins remain apart on money. We'll discuss all of that and so much more. Do me the favor, smash the like button, subscribe if you are new, and let's get into this.
Loses the football. Touchdown! Got it! You have got to be kidding me. Jaelan has a Dolphin touchdown. And he will score! Field down the near side, man open. Touchdown! The run from Tua Tagovailoa. Touchdown! He's going deep. It's not over the touchdown again.
Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. Let's go! What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we are back here for another one on this Monday. Hope everyone is having a fantastic start to their week. Just a reminder, I'll be dropping my wide receiver big board tomorrow for all of you during tomorrow's show. So please come through and support that. Shout out to Knight. He's gone out and gifted one Phinside The NFL membership. I appreciate you, Knight. Always a good way to donate, but also spread around the love. And Scotty has got a membership because of that. Speaking of, I didn't have a chance this weekend to get to my 3 takes video that I have coming for all y'all. So that'll be, it's either going to be coming tonight or tomorrow for you guys, all right? So, yeah, we'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about Javon Holland in that and some other things that I'm hearing on that 3 takes video. So be out on the lookout for that. We'll also be talking a little bit about OBJ in that video as this continues to draw out and just an interesting thing that I heard regarding the situation. So that'll be coming out either tonight or tomorrow. I'm just wrapping up this this big board video for you guys. And then, yeah, so be out on the lookout for that. Shout out to everyone already in the chat. Over 153 of you in the chat already. Please do me the favor. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you are new, as ladies and gentlemen, we are creeping. We're only 19 away from 15K. All right, so if you come through here and you're new, do me the favor. It takes 2 seconds. Smash the like button and subscribe if you're new. Let's talk about some things before we get into the meat and potatoes of today's episode. Interesting thing, I don't know, like, I haven't been on Twitter a ton today. I've just been busy and stuff. And, you know I didn't see him in the picture yesterday. Maybe one of you guys who's on social media more today saw him. I don't know. But am I the only one who saw that Chris Grier isn't at the owners meeting? Am I don't know. I just thought that was, I noticed that. Now, this guy could, for all I know, all right, he could have had a dentist appointment. I don't know. But I just found it weird that Chris Grier wasn't at, from what I've seen, I haven't seen him at the owners meeting. So, I don't know. I find that kind of, I hope everything's okay with it. The first thing I want to say is I hope everything's okay with Chris Grier and everything like that. I know he's been there the last couple of years. So, hey, maybe I missed it and he's in a picture on social media somewhere. That's why I said, you guys who are on social media more than today, maybe you guys know. But I just found it odd that Chris Grier wasn't there at the annual owners meeting. So I know there were, all GMs didn't go there, but Hey, Dad Dean says Grier playing golf with T. Higgins. Man, T. Higgins, I get the dream. But that's all that's going to be. They're not going to, trade for T. Higgins and then pay him with, Waddle. I get the dream, though. I understand. I'm just insinuating either, oh, come on, Coach AJ. Come on. Come on, Coach AJ. Coach AJ said he was at Diddy's house. Brother, that's too soon, eh? You got the FBI and Homeland Security raiding Diddy's house right now as we speak because, the word is and has been out that this guy's on Epstein levels and was doing Epstein things to, musicians and executives and stuff. But holy, good night, Diddy. It was nice knowing you. You know what I mean? Peace. That's what you get. That's what you get for what you did to Shine, baby. Karma always comes back. What you did, J-Lo realized how suspect of an individual he was because she was there after what he did to Shine. I was a Shine fan back in the day. Shine and Barrington Levy had some absolute bangers, and Shine's first album was so hard. But, what you did to Shine, there you go, P. Diddy. And even Nas said it, Nas said it, I don't like the way Diddy did Shine with different lawyers. Why is it mentioned in my rap? Fuck it. You know what I mean? There were other people in hip-hop that used to mess with Diddy, that saw what Diddy was, how he did Shine, and stopped messing with him. And then now we've gone on and figured out what this guy is. So the karma comes back. So, all right, how we've devolved from Chris Grier to thanks, Coach AJ. But, yeah, Chris Grier, I just find it interesting. First thing I'm going to say is I hope everything is well with Chris Grier. I hope there's nothing afoot. To be honest with you, I haven't even really called anyone that I know and asked them, hey, what's the deal? I just did something, an observation. That's all it is. So I hope everything's good with Chris Grier. And if everything is good with Chris Grier, then I hope that man is working the phones and trying to upgrade this team as we speak. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Go get me the final touches. Shout out to Brad Martin. This man just gifted 5 Phinside The NFL memberships. I appreciate you, Brad. And in turn, Lance White was gifted a membership. Darth Logan and Denisha were gifted memberships, as was Jason Keck and Mr. CHR15. Appreciate you. Knight says Grier's still trying to add more void years to Barrett. Yeah, we'll talk about his contract. Listen, I'm not really that bothered by the void years. You know what I mean? That cash has got to get paid out. They're just getting out ahead of it. I'm not really worried about it, but that's a good joke, Knight. I like it. So let's talk about a couple things here, okay? First of all, let's talk about this. I got to talk about this because this is just absolutely ridiculous. Now we're hearing talk that JJ McCarthy is a top 5 pick. Are you serious? What? Are we there now? Are we actually? Now there's talk that the Commanders could take. Are you serious? I'm going to tell you this right now. If JJ McCarthy goes before Drake May, Jaden Daniels, or Caleb Williams, something is wrong. And they are overanalyzing and overevaluating. I just don't see it. I'm sorry. I just do not see it. I just don't see it. He's not better than Penix, in my opinion. Now, would I take JJ over Bo Nix? That's a conversation to be had for sure. I would take him over Bo Nix. But, hey, man, y'all want to waste picks in the top 5? And to get to the top 5 to take him, knock yourself out. Just don't pay the Patriots to move up. That's all I care about. Don't load up the Patriots with a bunch of firsts. But that's ridiculous. That is unbelievable. Shout out to Brad. This man's feeling froggy today, and I love every minute of it. Brad Martin says, I will donate 5 more memberships if anyone in the chat matches me. Look at this. Are we going to have potentially 10 more memberships handed out? Look at this. Brad Martin out here ready to roll. So, I don't get the JJ McCarthy top 5 talk. I think this is ludicrous, if you want my honest opinion. I think this is nuts. The fact that we're going there, this is nuts. This is, I don't get it. Whoa. Rhino Sid said, I see your 5 and I raise you another 5. And then he says, well, hold on, I got to go to dinner. Shout out to Rhino Sith for dropping dessert before he went to dinner as he gifted 10 memberships. Daddy Dean, Bob Oliver, Jan Finsfan, King Hill, Joe, Charles Teal, B-Show 58, Mark Hebermel, Timothy Washington, as well as Gene Rosario. Look at this. Shout out to Rhino, who, like Knight said, hold my beer. Wow. Woo. Here's the real question. Earl Pascal says, how do you claim one of the memberships? Honestly, dude, I think Twitter picks. I think YouTube picks. I've never done it, so I don't know. That would be an answer for Rhino and Brad Martin. But, I don't. Oh, but Brad says, whoa, guys. We're having a membership off right now. Brad Martin, with the biggest number ever on the channel of memberships, just gifted 20 Phinside The NFL memberships. And listen, I appreciate the donations. Obviously as a content creator, I like donations, but this is the one way I've always encouraged because other people can benefit from it. And oh boy, I love this, man. We're playing a swinging contest right now. CJS, Maxi Bon Reges, Kevin Santos, Victor Frias, Mario Gonzalez, Mikey, DF Shade Rahun, Parag Valles, Wes Sabelli, James, Sideshow J, BGK, Ernesto Gillian, Jared Hill, George Barrows, No One Drummer, Mama Not a Fish, The Wheel, all gifted memberships. Oh boy. And D Hugga he's been a member for 3 years on the channel. He says, why do you think teams are liking JJ McCarthy so much? Or do you think it's just a smokescreen? No, I think they like him this much. I think it's kind of similar. And I don't want to compare him because I do think he's a better prospect than this kid I'm about to mention. I think it's kind of like the Mac Jones thing, right? You got a guy who just does the work and just plays the position, right? Doesn't try to be more than he is. And I think that's what you're seeing right now. Guys are liking the mechanics. Then you got Harbaugh behind the scenes. Harbaugh is well respected. And you guys all heard what he said at the owners meeting today. Harbaugh basically said JJ McCarthy's the best quarterback in the class. So you won the national championship. You're getting rave reviews from Harbaugh, who's telling these guys he can make every throw. He's easily coachable. He's got a good arm. And I think people are falling in love with it. I think that's what's happening. I think that's what you're seeing happen right now. So, and we always see this, right? And we see different positions every year, but we see guys get propped up, well above what a lot of us had them graded at, right? And I think that's what's happening right now. I think it's the Mac Jones effect. No one saw Mac Jones getting into the top 15 a couple months prior to the draft. Brad Martin says, come get some. Reason is the SHIT or SHAT if you're British and you're talking in a past tense. I appreciate you. I appreciate all of you for being channel members. Thank you, sir, and I appreciate y'all for donating, and I appreciate y'all for giving others the ability to become a channel member. If you're a channel member, go over to the community tab. You will see all the written versions of my inside info, and then you also have access to emojis in the chat, etc., etc. All right? So I appreciate all of you guys for supporting the channel. It's awesome. Yeah, listen, JJ's like QB5 for me. You know? That's what it is. And Brad says, I love you all, Finn's family for life. He knows what time it is. So, I just don't see the infatuation. Now, continuing on. Hold on. Let me ask you this. Who lost being a mod because they got a new phone? Let me know. Who said this? Jason, let me know in the chat who said that. Because I noticed your comment. I didn't know the person's comment. Oh, Aladino. Okay, hold on a sec. Hold on. Okay, hold on a sec. Let me take care of this. One thing. Okay, let's move on here. Something I want to get into here. By the way, I saw Ghostbusters. Good movie. Really feels like, because I know I was hyping it up while I was out here. Really felt like an episode of the real Ghostbusters. All right, that's what I got to say. All right, now let's continue on here. Let's talk a little OBJ before we get into the chunk of the news here. All right. So here we go. Let's start off here. I don't know where people are getting this information from, but people seem to be worried that the Chiefs are now a threat. I don't know. People are saying that the Chiefs are now a threat to the Miami Dolphins. I don't know where people are getting that from, because I'm not seeing it much further than, I'm really not seeing it much further than a few tweets, right? And the few tweets that I'm seeing and that I'm talking about are this. He commented on Rashee Rice Instagram post, and he also commented on a Patrick Mahomes post. All right, and this is within the past couple of days. Now, I get where people are at right now. People are basically theorizing, okay, well, the Miami Dolphins, they have limited cap, and the Chiefs, by trading L'Jarius Sneed, they just opened up all this cap space. That's what people are basically theorizing and trying to put together right now. Very well, could the Chiefs make an offer to OBJ? It makes sense. And hey, listen, I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to be very honest. If they want to pay OBJ, if they want to overpay OBJ, if they want to pay him $10+ million a year, let him walk. The draft is stacked, as you guys will see by my big board tomorrow. All right, when I drop my wide receiver big board tomorrow, y'all will see how stacked this draft is. All right, go again. Go get your money. If that's what this is about, and you can get money and have a really good chance at winning, knock yourself out. But the Miami Dolphins are taking a firm stance on not being financially irresponsible. And when y'all get my 3 takes update, or my members get that update today in written form, y'all going to see why. They got guys on the horizon they got to pay. And, because what could it be? I mean, you saw what they did to Shaq Barrett. They created Shaq Barrett void years in that contract. We'll get into the contract later. But they created void years in that contract to spread the money out. They probably might do the same thing with OBJ. Now, if they sign OBJ for $6 or $7 million guaranteed, and the incentives can get him up to $11 million, all right, that's a different conversation. But, I don't see them handing out a contract anywhere near what the Ravens handed out to this guy last year. I just don't see it. And I like seeing them. It's nice to see them stand their ground and stay firm. It's nice. Like, this is a far cry from what they've done the last couple of years, where they just throw money at their problems. So you know what? I actually appreciate it and respect it. And, it goes even further than that. We're talking about this, and it's been confirmed. And let's get into the news, and let's start off with OBJ And let's start off with this. This is from Barry Jackson. And Barry Jackson said, as we reported the past few weeks, the Dolphins can wait weeks on Beckham to see if he comes around to their price point or wait on draft. They're sticking to their budget. Right? That's where they're at. They're sticking to their budget. They're not moving off of it. And thank God. All right? Like, they're showing some discipline, and you have to appreciate it. You have to appreciate the discipline that they're showing. And again, look at the key word used there, budget. Budget. That's a key word right there. Budget. They've got an idea in mind of how much they want to spend. And they got an idea in mind of how frugal they want to be financially. And we've seen hints about this, right? The prominent wide receiver saying that, they realize they have a set number in mind. So, you have to give, people want to knock. It's really weird this offseason because I see people trying to knock the Dolphins for making smart strategic moves. And they're trying to knock them because they haven't made splashes, where if they would have made big financial splashes, people would have knocked them for losing the compensatory picks or overpaying once more. Like, I saw people mad that, we didn't make the trade for L'Jarius Sneed. We went out and got Kendall Fuller. First of all, Kendall Fuller has played better football the last 2 years than Xavier Howard. He's an upgrade over Xavier Howard, number one. Number two, the versatility of him on the boundary, in the slot. He allows you to do more things with Jaelan Ramsey, et cetera, et cetera. All right? He has ripple effect versatility. All right? Also, compare the money they're paying him to what L'Jarius Sneed is getting paid. Why would you give up a third-round pick and then pay him $20+ million after you let Christian Wilkins walk? Not going to happen. Like I had in my Patreon and my channel member reporting, it was always the price tag. I had that before he got traded. I was telling all y'all why the Dolphins pivoted to Kendall Fuller in those updates was because of his price tag. It wasn't so much what Kansas City was asking. It was what he was asking, and now we've seen. So, it feels like free agency would have been damned if you do, damned if you don't. If we would have overspent, people would have said you're overspent. If we made smart moves with our money like we have, people would say, oh, you're not being splashy enough. That's basically what it feels like. Whereas, wait till you see the upgrade Jordan Brooks is over Jerome Baker. They're looking to upgrade over the Cedric Wilsons. They brought back some Barrows back on their terms, and they said, we're still going to go out and get a guy who's going to be more productive than you, whether it's in the draft or in the free agent market. And continuing on here, this is what McDaniel had to say today, and let's talk about this. McDaniel, when asked about OBJ today, this is what he said, and let's talk about it because they confirmed that the Miami Dolphins made an offer, and I gotta talk about why.
Great with him. We did make him an offer, and business takes time, especially with players that such as Odell, who's had a phenomenal career, still has really good football in front of him and has options. So there's not. I think those conversations will be ongoing. We'll see where they go. I don't live in the world of crystal balling, and I do stay in my lane as a coach. I'm definitely ready to coach him if we can come to agreement, and I think both sides are trying to work towards that. We'll see what happens.
So, there you go. A few things here. Now, I got to say this, all right? When he says, we made him an offer and business takes time, especially with players such as Odell who have a phenomenal career, first thing first, that tells me Odell values himself still higher than what other teams like the Dolphins value him. That's what that tells me, number one. Number two, this also tells me what we've been hearing, how strong the mutual interest is. Okay? Because you're not going to put this out publicly for a few reasons. All right. If the interest isn't there, you would say, oh yeah, we had talks, blah, blah, blah. You wouldn't go into detail that you made him a contract offer. The other thing I can say about confirming the contract offer is this tells me it's not like a Grand Canyon gap. It seems like OBJ seems he's worth a certain value because of what he's done and what he knows what he can bring to the table. They value him a little bit less than that. That's what that tells me. Like, perfect example. Let's say they offered him, I don't know. Let's say they offered him $10 million, $6 million of it guaranteed. All right? But he's out here saying, listen, I want 12 and I want 9 guaranteed. That's not that really big of a gap. Now, if you're out here saying, okay, I'm offering you 10 and here's 6, and he's out here saying, well, I want 10 guaranteed and I want 15, that's a big gap. And it does no one any good to go out and say, well, we offered him a deal if you knew the gap was that big. Because if he said that to them, conversation over, done, you're out of our price range, we're moving on. But it's clear they're not moving on. And I don't mean that in the sense of, if another, if Tyler Boyd all of a sudden says, hey, I'll come here for $4 million, they wouldn't jump on it. Or if a wide receiver drops in their lap in the draft, they wouldn't move on it. But you can see they're comfortable with what they're offering, what the market's telling OBJ, and what OBJ wants. They're comfortable with their offer. That's what that tells you. So that tells you they're not far off, and the interest is still strong. That's what that tells you. And what's going to hurt OBJ and what he needs to realize, and this is where he can't get stuck playing the Dalvin Cook game, and I'm not even talking about with us, I'm just talking about with the NFL teams in general. The draft. People will supplement you through the draft. No, I didn't say they offered that. I was being hypothetical. I did not say they offered $10 million. I was using hypotheticals. So that's another thing they got to be wary about. That is another thing they got to be wary about. In terms of OBJ's camp. That draft, teams can forget about you real quick. Real quick. Oh, you read it somewhere else? Okay. I didn't read it that I haven't heard numbers from anywhere. So, and Jamal says, I'm glad they are too. He only caught, listen, I'm going to be this. Don't get caught box score watching with OBJ. I'm going to tell you this, okay? Lamar Jackson is not a wide receiver friendly quarterback. OBJ and players in that building, not just OBJ, but players in our building right now believe OBJ still has juice. Okay? Lamar couldn't even break 4,000 yards last year. All right? I'm going to tell you this. Look at what they did. What did the Ravens do? They let OBJ walk, and instead of spending big money on a receiver, they turned around and threw money at Derrick Henry because they know they'll get better usage out of a high-level running back than receiver. Rashad Bateman, I'm telling you right now, mark my words. Rashad Bateman is going to go somewhere on a decently priced contract and blow the hell up. He's going to blow the hell up. Watch. And like Aaron Jones says, when you add in OBJ and then you turn around and you add up Braxton Berrios' numbers and Cedric Wilson's numbers, OBJ outdid him. You know what I mean? Like he outperformed them. That's just crazy. So that's all I would say is don't get lost. Because then if he goes to the Chiefs or he comes here and he starts eating, you'll be like, oh, I didn't think he had it in. I'm telling you, don't get caught. Don't get caught scoreboard watching on OBJ. All right? Now, let's talk about some other things coming out of the owners meeting today. All right? There are some other things. Now, there's some good news for all of you. And let's start off with something we've talked about on this channel about Bradley Chubb and Jaelan Phillips and then potentially, at least one of them being back for opening day. Well, it was kind of addressed today. And when it comes to having star players recover from a major injury, Miami Dolphins coach Mike McDaniel may want to stick with an approach that has already worked. So when hoping edge defenders Bradley Chubb and Jaelan Phillips can return ahead of schedule from an ACL and Achilles tear, respectively, he may just want to take the same measure as with cornerback Jalen Ramsey last season and avoid a timeline altogether. Remember that line I was talking to you all season with Jalen Ramsey about no timelines? McDaniel began Monday morning at the NFL annual meeting at the Ritz-Carlton in JW Marriott Grand Lakes. I think that worked well. No timelines, and he came back faster than you guys thought. It's also from a psychological standpoint, you don't want to chase the wrong things. I bring Jalen Ramsey up because both of those two individuals, Bradley Chubb and Jaelan Phillips, are extreme versions of, hey, we need to make sure they're not out here chasing a timeline, because as competitors, they will achieve that timeline, and it might be the worst for their body. Then it goes on, and he says they've been doing phenomenal. McDaniel said we've had to mandate that they have a week off of rehab just recently, both of them, because they literally live there. They have Swivel tape on the floor, parking spots for their little scooters that they've graduated from, and they're both really doing exactly what you'd expect from those two individuals, which is absolutely attacking that process. And doing it from a perspective of they don't get healthy for 1 week. They want to get healthy for a whole season. So, I'm just, it continues. I know he's talking about no timelines, but, you talk about the work they're putting in right now. A lot of us have been asking, what are they doing with another edge rusher? We know they need another rotational piece behind Shaq Barrett. We covered this on the channel last week where there's a realistic possibility if you go by the timelines, we brought it up with when we were talking about Jordy Fortson and stuff that, Phillips could be ready for on-field stuff June, July. The bigger issue is Bradley Chubb is probably not going to be ready till August, September for on-field stuff. Jaelan Phillips seems like the one that has a shot to be there on opening day. And, Bradley Chubb, I think, is more, I'd take my time. I wouldn't rush him back. Like, Jaelan Phillips looks like he's going to get in a full training camp. Bradley Chubb looks like he's not going to come until, be able to, for on-field stuff until we're playing preseason games. So, that's more of a risky situation. You don't want to force him into game situation right away while Jaelan Phillips seems like he might be more eased into it. Now, another thing, too, is, again, heading back to what I just said about Shaq Barrett. And, the thing with, we've talked about edge being a sleeper pick. We've talked about, other edges on the market maybe they want to add. I know a lot of people in this fan base would be fans of them adding a guy like Jadeveon Clowney or such. It just doesn't seem like, unless an edge rusher falls in the lap in the draft, I don't see them spending more money on another edge rusher, a prominent edge rusher. And a perfect example is this. Look at what Barry Jackson tweeted out over the weekend. Now, Jordan Schultz tweeted out following Jadeveon Clowney's visit with the Jets, he and the organization have remained in constant contact. One source describing New York as highly motivated to try and land him. Schultz was told the Panthers and Ravens also remain interested. Now, Barrett Jackson said ESPN spent time on NFL Live this week lobbying the Dolphins to sign Clowney. Miami has gone down that road before with him. Money now tight. Jordan here doesn't list the Fins among suitors. So this tells me either they're confident one of the two will be back. I mean, especially Jadeveon Clowney. Look at his production with Anthony Weaver. Anthony Weaver seems like a guy who would be lobbying for him, right? So this tells you that either they believe in this timeline we've started to hear over the last 2 weeks that Jaelan Phillips could be back and have a full training camp, or the draft is a real possibility. And we know, we've covered it on this channel, they've been sniffing around edge rushers in the draft, right? Including some of the top ones like Leatu Latu. So, money's tight. There's a need there. Just saying. Now, continuing on, Shaq Barrett, his contract details, they came out for everyone today to look at. And this is what it looks like. Shaq Barrett, his deal base is 1 year, $7 million, 6.75 guaranteed, 5.54 signing bonus, $250K per game bonus. It could reach up to $9 million in incentives. Now, Dolphins were created with the tight cap. They added 4 voidable years to spread the bonus. Now, I know people are going to see that, and they're going to, oh, my God, what's going on? How are they doing this? Listen, the voidable years, that's the new trend. We've already been using it. All right? And I know people are going to say that and say, well, we're just going to keep paying him after he's gone. And, that's not how that works. Listen, let's say this is how it works. If he's gone after 1 year, all of the cap for the void years, that has to be paid the first year he leaves. Now, if he produces and he gets re-signed, then that void year is basically waived. So the void years are just, they're just a way, that's just a way, for cap accounting. That's all that is, right? That's just, you can impact, you can affect the cap at a lower percentage while it goes up. So, listen, once that contract voids, all of that prorated money, that bonus money, has to come out that year. So they're only really helping the first year cap hit. So everyone needs to relax. I know everyone's panicking when they see the void years. Oh, here we go. Don't lose your mind over it, okay? It's okay. We're good. We are good. All right? Now, sticking with today, something we've talked about on this channel. All the drama with Tyreek Hill. The Dolphins season ended 2 months ago, but Tyreek Hill has stayed in the news for reasons both he and the Dolphins would like to avoid. And the Dolphins have spoken to him about it. There you go. Coach Mike McDaniel didn't reveal details about those discussions during the 30-minute meeting with reporters at the NFl's annual meetings Monday morning. But the fact is, Hill's multiple off-field incidents have gotten the attention of the organization. It's a quote, "It's of paramount importance that you have communication," McDaniel said. "One of those things from our perspective is I think it is very important as an organization that we're in the avenue of finding, gathering, and learning all information possible." Late in the season, Hill's home in western Broward County caught on fire, causing him to bolt from practice and temporarily move out of the house. Later, he was sued by social media influencer who accused him of breaking a leg while demonstrating a football drill, a charge his lawyer later denied. And the Miami Herald reported that Davie police responded to a call of a domestic dispute in January at Hill's home. There was also divorce filing by Hill in Broward court that was withdrawn. Hill is currently scheduled to be the Dolphins' highest paid player in 2024 at a 31.3 cap hit. He served as a team captain in 2023 and was voted team MVP after leading the NFL with 1,799 yards and 13 touchdown receptions. So it's vital towards the Dolphins' fortunes in 2024 to have them both on the field and focus on football. Our communication with him has been phenomenal. Working through different things is part of the coach-player relationship. You don't wish unfortunate things on anyone, but our number one obligation to both player and the organization is to find out all the information possible and then work with the player. And in Tyreek's case, we've been very transparent. He's been very candid with us, and we're working with him on all those things. So, listen, I don't like bringing up the Sally Jesse Raphael stuff. But the reason that I brought it up as of late with Tyreek Hill, there you go. Because I knew we were getting to the point where there was no way the team was going to avoid this. And especially with that police filing, that whole domestic potential thing, I wouldn't be surprised if the NFL started looking into it. So the fact that our team, our organization is I'm just saying, because here's the deal: every team has guys that clean up messes for them, cleaners. And the problem with this is these messes are getting out. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, and it doesn't even have to be specifically Tyreek Hill. There's messes that none of us are ever gonna hear about because the team handled it. Just saying. That's the reality of the situation. So, need you on the field, man, especially when y'all saw it in black and white. Going to be the highest paid player this year. Can't have this nonsense, man. Just cannot have this nonsense. Darth Sadek said, I just got a Pulp Fiction cleaner thing. You know what I'm talking about, though. So, got to be better, Tyreek. You got to be wary of this kind of stuff. For real. Now, a topic of discussion before we get into Tua and stuff. A topic of discussion today. Let me play this video, and it was from the annual owners meeting today. People are not happy, all right? I'm going to show you a video. This is a video that was showed in a press conference of what they're now banning the hip drop tackles, all right? The person in the back you're going to hear talking, that's a guy by the name of Jeff Miller. He's an NFL executive, all right?
Swivel. And
they're showing examples.
Unawaiting yourself as a defender and landing on your opponent's leg. You've heard us say before that the injury rate, this sort of tackle compared to the typical tackle, is at least 20 times more. We came to that from reviewing about 20,000 videos of tackles. The injury rate, we see it 20 times the others. We see a time loss injury about once a week now, which is an increase year over year. We see the tackle occur about once a game, which is up 65% year over year. So it's increasing in frequency. The sorts of injuries, as you can see here, the high ankle sprains, the ligament injuries, fractures, lead to substantial time loss. So grateful after all the work that was done by the engineers and certainly by the health and safety team.
So now I want to be specific of what they're trying to eliminate. What they're trying to eliminate is the players that lift themselves off the ground and then use their weight to fall on the offensive player. You saw some of those tackles where guys were grabbing them, lifting their weight off the ground, and then bringing them down like that. That's what they're trying to eliminate. If your feet stay on the ground and you tackle and bring them down, you will not get flagged. It's the players, when you wrap them and you take your weight off the ground and you use your weight with gravity to hip drop them, that's what they're trying to get rid of. They are going to make sure defenders are keeping their feet on the ground. Because that's what happened. That's what you're seeing happening. people are getting legitimately hurt. Tyreek Hill, it wasn't a hip drop, but I mean, you saw him get injured and the guy kept his feet on the ground and pulled him down. But now you're getting guys that are basically, you saw a few tackles in there. They're taking their feet off the ground and using the weight just to drive you down. That's why they're trying to get rid of that. And it's not like we're tweaking ankles. These are causing season-ending injuries. And the thing is, ball carriers, for the most part, you're dealing with stars, whether it's the quarterback dropping back, whether it's a star running back out of the backfield, or a star receiver. That's what they're trying to avoid. People who are look, anyone. All these Florida fans are now Panther fans over the last 2 years because they got good. And then you notice how that one worked, where we all, when they drafted Huberdeau and these guys and no one was watching them. But anyways, I digress. Hockey. What's a perfect example, right? Perfect example. Charging. You cannot leave your feet in hockey and lay a hit. You cannot skate towards someone, jump off the ice, and drive. You will get either penalized or straight up ejected from a game. You cannot leave your feet when you make a hit in hockey. It's the same thing. That's what they are trying to do. They are trying to keep defender feet on the ground. That's what they're trying to do. It's the same thing with hockey. You cannot leave your feet when you lay a check in hockey. Same thing. They're trying to get rid of guys leaving their feet and just hip dropping guys and just bringing them down. Because you're seeing serious injuries to the lower extremities. That's what you're seeing. So, and you know what? A problem of it is because of how high level of athletes we're dealing with. You're getting athletes that are running 4.2s and 4.3s, and guys got to keep up, and they're just jumping at them and bringing them down. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a mess. Watching them enforce this year is going to be a mess. Just prepare yourselves. I can already see it right now. Really, I can already see it right now. It's going to be a mess. That's all I can pretty much say. I don't know how they're going to enforce this properly. It's going to be a mess. They're going to be now having to watch defenders' feet. So, be interesting to see how this rolls forward. Be very interesting to see how this rolls forward. All right. Let's get into something, some notes on offensive positions from Barry Jackson. And we're going to talk about quarterback and wide receiver in this, okay? So let's talk about this. On quarterback, he goes over who's on the roster. He said what could be added. He said an undrafted player, potentially someone in the 6th or 7th round, could be plucked to compete with Thompson. Comment. Here we go. The big question is if and when Tagovailoa and the Dolphins can agree to terms on a contract extension. Both sides want to get it done. But as of recently, there was still ground to cover. The Dolphins are expected to offer a deal that would top $50 million annually. Keep in mind that Joe Burrow's Cincinnati extension last offseason was for 24.5% of the salary cap at the time. If Tagovailoa requested a similar percentage as that Burrow extension, the annual value would be $62.5 million. A deal likely will be well short of that, but the cap increase is going to factor into what his representatives will seek. One other side note on Tagovailoa's trainer Nick Hicks said on social media that the team asked Tagovailoa to bulk up last season to reduce the risk of injury. This offseason, Tagovailoa shed weight while focusing on speed and agility, Hicks noted on social media. That should improve his mobility when the pocket collapses. He had just 74 rushing yards last season on 35 carries with a long run of 9 yards. In each of his first seasons, he averaged 3 yards per carry, rushing for 109, 128, and 70 yards those seasons. All right, let's first unpack this before we get to the wide receiver part. On this, you know, the $62.5 million is a key number. Why? Because like I reported on Patreon and for channel members only, what have I heard? What Barry said. Both sides wanted to get it done. The Dolphins wanted to get it done before free agency. And what was I told held it up? 2 words, athletes first. From what I understand, and that's why that $62.5 million matters. From what I understand, they want to see what a potential Dak Prescott extension looks like. That's what I've heard. That they want to see what a potential Dak Prescott extension looks like, because there was a lot of talk about how he has all the leverage heading in, right? They can't, when you look at the leverage Dak Prescott has in his contract, they almost have to extend him this offseason. They almost have to. He has all the leverage. I'm pretty sure I've gone over this on the show before, right? Okay, he has a no trade clause. His cap number for 2024 is $59.45 million. They're going to want to lower that. He can't be tagged next year. You can't tag him, meaning he becomes an unrestricted free agent no matter what. And if Dak were to leave in free agency next year when you can't tag him, Dallas would also take a $36.4 million dead money hit for 2025. That's why. They want to lower the cap hit for 2024 from $59.45 million. He has a no trade clause and he can't be tagged. Plus, if he leaves, you take a $36.4 million dead money hit in 2025. That's why the $60 million talk is out there with Dak. And that athletes first. Listen, I've been talking about athletes first on this channel since before Tua moved. First of all, when Tua moved to athletes first, I warned each and every one of y'all. I said, this man dropped the real life Jerry Maguire for athletes first. And then when the Lamar Jackson stuff was going on, if you remember correctly, I told all y'all the things I was hearing about athletes first, about how they want to corner the quarterback market. What do I mean by that? They want to represent all 32 quarterbacks. The smear campaign that came out about over Lamar Jackson, and you know how it became a big deal about contract negotiations when you don't have a proper representative. I'm told athletes first was behind that little smear campaign of Lamar Jackson and him and his mother representing him. And it's all because they were mad that he snubbed them and said, I don't want to work with y'all. Athletes first is like what Scotty says in the chat. Scotty nailed it. They are the most super aggressive free agency there is. Guys, they're the ones that got Ramsey here. Ramsey said, I want the Dolphins. They made it happen. They're the ones who represented Christian Wilkins. How'd that go? Notice, do you see how easy it is for us to get stuff done with Drew Rosenhaus and his guys? How many Rosenhaus guys took less than market value? You think you guys have been now seeing athletes first move the last couple of years. Do you think they would allow half a dozen of their clients to do that with Miami? I'm telling y'all, athletes first is next level. And Tua dropped. Lee Steinberg, who he dropped, ladies and gentlemen, that's who Jerry Maguire is based on. Literally, that's the real life Jerry Maguire. That's who the movie's based on. And Tua threw him to the side for athletes first. That tells you, A, the power athletes first has, and B, I can only imagine the things they were offering and saying they will get Tua. And this is not a knock on Tua. Hey, to each their own, get your bag, man. I'm not here to pocket watch. I'm just here to let y'all know. So, just saying. And check out what comes to the Patreon on 3 Takes. and what comes to the channel member insider info, because there's a chance we might have another Wilkins deal on our hands. Anyways, now to wide receiver. This is where the OBJ thing comes in here. Goes over what's on the roster. He goes over what could be added. At least 2 more players, including a potential number 3 receiver. Odell Beckham Jr. remains very much a possibility. Both sides would like to strike a deal, but there's been a gap in their financial visions. Don't discount the possibility of a receiver with the 21st pick. LSU's Brian Thomas or perhaps Xavier Worthy could be available later in the 20s. The Dolphins want a legitimate weapon to pair with Hill and Waddle, but have been reluctant to pay more than a few million to any of the pedigreed veterans still available in free agency. They could wait out a decision by Beckham. Hill, Waddle, and Barrett will be on the team, and Isacom and Craycraft are front runners for 2 other jobs. That leaves at least 1, potentially 2 jobs open. What does this scream? If we've heard that there's brass high up that want OBJ, what does that scream, what he just said to you? I'm going to tell you what that screams, okay? The whole line, the Dolphins want a legitimate weapon to pair with Hill and Waddle, but have been reluctant to pay more than a few million to any of the pedigreed veterans still available. That tells you if we don't like if OBJ the draft is on the table, baby. If Bowers falls outside the top 15, if a Brian Thomas falls, I don't believe they're taking Xavier Worthy in the 20s. I'm sorry, I just don't buy that. The guy's like 170 pounds soaking wet, 165 pounds soaking wet. You know, I just don't see that. No way. First of all, you take Adonai Mitchell over him. Second of all, you take Xavier Legette or Ladd McConkey before you take any one of those Texas receivers. I'm just saying. But interesting. Very interesting to see. And when you try to read between the lines of what Barry's saying, that's also the second time Barry's brought up Brian Thomas and Xavier Worthy. Keep count. That's also the second time. Guys, over 500 of you in the room, please do me the favor. Smash the like button as we are creeping on 15,000. We are only 13 away. We are only Dan Marino numbers away from 15K. Do me the favor and smash the like button because we're doing a giveaway for 15K. So let's go. All right. Finally here, just a little news and note for all you Hard Knock fans. The NFL media will seek an ownership vote tomorrow on a plan to revamp team selection rules for Hard Knocks. The goal is expanding the pool of potential featured teams while making the documentary series less invasive. If owners approve the new rules, teams will only be able to avoid the offseason Hard Knocks production if they, 1, have participated before in the last 8 years, down from 10 years, 2, have a first-year head coach, or will participate in the in-season Hard Knocks show the current season or next season. Crucially, teams that make the playoffs will no longer be off limits to producers in the following 2 off seasons if this proposal passes. Also, under the plan, the 3-year-old in-season version of Hard Knocks would allow a full 4-team division instead of a single team. That would ease competitive concerns, gives more producers options for storytelling, and lightens the load on any single team, proponents say. So, there you go. They're looking to expand in-season Hard Knock to a full division, as well as they are trying to be less invasive with teams, and I'm sure a lot of you will be fans of that. No? Let's be honest. Finally here, I wanted to talk about this, and I'll cover it in my final thoughts. Did the Miami Dolphins upgrade the offensive line enough? You look at that interior, and this is something that also screams draft to me. No one can convince me that with that interior, they're going in with Eichenberg, Jack Driscoll, Robert Jones, and Isaiah Wynn as their top options at guard fighting for a spot. I just do not see it. I don't think they've upgraded the offensive line enough, and I think they know that. See, this is what puts me into this position of tackle and why I see tackle that could play guard or at 21 or a straight up interior player at 55 makes a ton of sense. I don't think they're going to take a purely interior player at 21 like a Jackson Powers Johnson. I think that's off the board. I think if you're talking about a strictly interior guy, that's at 55. But an interior guy, a tackle who can play interior for 1 year, that's more of a 21 pick because then you can kick him outside to take Teron's job after he leaves, and that's a premium position, and Grier loves premium positions in the first round. So, you know, I the more I keep, and I just want to get this thought out with you guys, that's where I'm at. The more I keep thinking about it, the more I'm like, you know, I don't think they're going with a bunch of scrubs in the interior. I think there's another body that's going to be added here. I really do believe that. I want to know what you think in the comments right now, or whether you're watching this after the fact. Let me know in the live chat. Let me know in the comments. Do you think the Miami Dolphins did enough to upgrade the offensive line? And do you think they're done upgrading the offensive line? Tomorrow I'll be back with my wide receiver big board. Until then, you already know what time it is. Fins up all day, every day. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.